Hey there, today I'm going to walk through how to install an environment to this otherwise bland looking React 3 fiber scene. Before we begin, we need the Dre helper library. This is going to simplify adding things like controls, shadows, and more importantly, what we're after, environments. So first we want to do, go to the home page and click on install, and which will get this command here. You can go ahead and add that into your terminal in VS Code or whichever text editor you use. Now we've got the library installed, I can reference the environment. The Dre helper library comes with some really helpful presets, so before we can really quickly test out some environments just like this. And essentially that's pretty much, once I rerun the server, all that's needed. And you can see here that there's some lighting affecting the sphere already. If I disable those lights in the scene, we're only affected by the environment itself. Now the sphere, we can adjust the roughness on it to make it super shiny. So set that to a roughness of 0. Now we can see the environment kind of reflecting back inside the sphere. So it's a highly metallic, smooth rather, not metallic. We can make it more metallic by adjusting the what's the setting again? The metalness. We can make it more metallic by adjusting the metalness property. So if we give it a metalness of 1, it becomes like a mirror-like surface, like a chrome ball. Now, you're probably wondering, yeah, but we want to see the environment inside the scene. We can absolutely do that. And in classic React 3 fiber fashion, it is so simple to do. If we add in this background true property, or just simply background for short, we can now see the environment, which is really, really cool. Another one of the controls I added earlier was orbit controls. This is another component. That's as simple as it is to add in this panning control. Sorry about that, if that caused a bit of dizziness. Now let's move on to how we will add in custom environments. So you might have access to a 360-degree camera. If not, then there is this fantastic website called Polyhaven. So if you go to polyhaven.com/HDRIs, this is where I get all of my HDRIs from, at least. And there are a bunch of environments here. I think that sphere is going to look great inside an outdoor environment with natural light. So that's what I'm going to go for. Let's go for Golden Gate Hills. I'm going to download the HDRI version. So if it's on EXR, go to HDR. Download that. And then once that's downloaded, you can see I downloaded it earlier, you can import that into your project. I'm going to place it inside the assets project, the assets folder, I'm sorry. And now inside, as I'm using Vite, I can import that file. Now I want to import that file as a URL. If you're using a different development environment, then you need to set that up. Otherwise, the simplest way is to simply place it inside the public folder, and then you can reference that path from the root. So the key thing inside Vite is that if you append URL, then it imports it as the URL rather than trying to import it as code or as a JSON file, for example. Now we can get rid of preset, and instead of the preset property, we can pass in the HDR URL. And now our scene will look like this. Beautiful. There are some options to blur out the background as well, in case you require that. So we can set that to something like 0.8, and then the environment becomes a bit more blurred, a bit more ambiguous, and so not so much detailed, but then you're still lighting the scene as if it was an outdoor scene. making lighting a lot more realistic and so much more straightforward. Cheers.